Going no contact with an avoidant can often leave you feeling emotionally volatile and unsure about the future. If you have an anxious attachment style, then it's not uncommon to still have feelings of wanting to make it work with them, but also being worried that they might forget about you during no contact. So, will your avoidant ex forget about you during no contact? Allow me, as someone who's gone through no contact with an avoidant, to enlighten you. Hello, my name is Charlie, and I help others heal from difficult breakups. Back in 2022, I went into no contact with an avoidant, which basically kickstarted my healing journey. Since then, I've been documenting my growth online to help others heal as well. First, let's clarify what no contact is for the newcomers. Essentially, no contact means just that. No contact whatsoever. No direct contact, no indirect contact. This means no phone calls, no texting, no voice messaging, no DMs, no lurking their social media posts or stories or liking them, no email, no snail mail, no carrier pigeons, absolutely nothing whatsoever. Sometimes no contact can be for a set period of time, other times it can be forever, especially if it's with somebody you never want to get back together with. No contact is essentially a time that allows both people to heal and detach from the relationship in the breakup to prevent reconciliation in an unhealthy way. You see, you can use no contact as a way to bring people together. It may seem counterintuitive, but if the relationship is highly dysfunctional, then taking some time apart can actually help make things stronger between the both of you. And this is what's happened with many of my clients, but also myself. No contact was a time to take some time apart, to grow, to heal, to correct some negative traits, and to try coming back together to see if maybe it can work again under new terms. Okay, so now that we know what no contact is, will your ex forget about you during this time, especially if they have an avoidant attachment style? In a way, yes, they will forget about you, but let me explain why that isn't always a bad thing. When avoidants break up, they're at a point where their fears about the relationship are greater than their feelings, and when they break up and go into no contact, those fears and feelings essentially switch. Essentially, during no contact, the stress of the relationship is behind them, so they can just focus on living their life to the fullest, especially if they were the ones to initiate the breakup in no contact. The intentional act of living their life means engaging in activities that reinforce their decision to break up as good. So they essentially feel good now that the breakup is over and their feelings surrounding their relationship and the breakup have subsided. This is also commonly known as the relief phase, and it's the first phase that avoidants will feel during no contact. Eventually, they transition into phase 2, where their feelings begin to boil up to the surface, and they engage in activities and other comforts as a means of suppressing those feelings down again. It's during this time where they'll begin to forget about the relationship, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they forget about all of the good times and the bad times. They just essentially suppress their feelings surrounding those memories to the point where they may not think about them nearly as much. Essentially, they just forget what those memories mean on an emotional level. Like, for example, your ex probably isn't going to forget that you both went on a cruise together. What they might forget, because they've been suppressing those feelings, is maybe how in love they were with you during that time. It's only once phase 2 has run its course and they enter into phase 3 where something truly interesting begins to happen. Phase 3 is essentially marked by curiosity, and if you've been good with no contact and they haven't heard from you up until this point, they will naturally become curious about what you've been up to during your time apart. Now that their feelings surrounding the breakup have begun to stabilize, they can begin to actually process everything about the breakup and the relationship, and as a result, they can even begin to feel nostalgic and curious about you and what you both had when you were together. The nostalgia and mystery between the two of you during no contact can actually motivate them to the point where they actually try to reconnect with you. So in a way, they momentarily forget or suppress their feelings and emotions for you in order to cope with becoming single, only to accept the situation at hand and begin processing all of the emotions after the breakup so that they can start to take action toward you and try to reconcile things between you. As I've said, avoidance is an emotional roller coaster that can pull them away only to push them toward you again. All during this time, they are likely thinking about you. However, their thoughts and the feelings associated with those thoughts change throughout the course of no contact. So yes, your ex will forget about you during no contact, but it's more so on an emotional level, and most times it's often temporary because they're doing that as a means to cope and detach from the breakup. That doesn't mean that magically their memories of you are wiped from their memory bank. They still have those. So if you're wondering if your ex is going to forget about you during no contact, chances are they won't. There are other factors that do play a role in this, like the amount of time the relationship has had. For example, if it's a really short relationship, maybe like 2 or 4 weeks, I wouldn't even really consider that a relationship, and they'll probably just move on to someone else. However, if there has been a lot of time within this relationship, say it's spanned more than 6 months, then they're probably not going to forget about you. So if you're going through no contact right now, don't be worried if your ex is going to forget about you. In a way, sometimes being forgotten can be a very good thing. If you don't want them back and you don't want anything to do with them, then there's actually no harm in being forgotten. That's probably what you want in the end. And if you do want them back, then you kind of want them to forget about you just a little bit. You want them to forget what it was like to be with you. And during this time, they may actually need to date other people in order to realize just how good they had it with you. So in a way, they kind of do need to forget about you in order to remember and hopefully feel what it was like to be with you once again. And honestly, that's what makes no contact so great, because the time you have apart and the space all create this air of mystery that can suddenly bring people back out of nowhere. Before you know it, you may actually hear from them and you may not see it coming at all. As someone who's been in no contact with an avoidant, I know how hard it can be, and I understand entirely what you are feeling during this time. With that said, if you'd like to connect with me to share your story and possibly receive some advice, then feel free to check out the links in the description to book a one-on-one session with me. Also, if you're interested in learning more about what avoidants feel during no contact, then feel free to check out my video on that. I'll see you in the next video.